Imagine a ghost, not the kind that haunts a house, but the kind that haunts a bank account. Jeffrey Epstein was a man who owned the world, a $77 million mansion in Manhattan, the largest private home in the city, a $60 million private island in the Caribbean, a ranch in New Mexico, an apartment in Paris, a fleet of private jets that crisscrossed the globe like a shuttle service for the elite. On paper, he was a titan of Wall Street, a financial genius, a currency trader who could predict the markets before they moved. That is what the magazines said. That is what the celebrities believed. But if you looked closely, if you looked with the eyes of an investigator, the math didn't add up. He had no trading floor. He had no board of directors. He had no public fund. And when the IRS finally audited him, they found something terrifying. His client list was empty. Think about that. A man with $500 million in assets but no customers, no product, no business. So, where did the money come from? For 30 years, we were distracted. The media focused on the girls, the parties, the island. They focused on the sin, but they missed the engine that powered the machine. We were looking at the girls. We should have been looking at the gold, because Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a hedge fund manager. He was a blackmailer. It's about the price of silence. To understand the monster, you have to go back to before he was rich. Back to 1987. Forget the math prodigy myth. Epstein was a college dropout. He was a gym teacher who got fired. He had zero connections and zero money until he met a man named Stephen Hoffenberg. Hoffenberg ran a company called Towers Financial. To the public, it was a debt collection agency. In reality, it was a lie. It was one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in American history. $450 million stolen from unsuspecting investors. Hoffenberg hired Epstein as a consultant for $25,000 a month. But Epstein didn't just work there. He studied the crime. He learned how to fake a balance sheet. He learned how to move stolen money through shell companies. It was his training day. And then the inevitable happened. The scheme collapsed. The FBI raided the offices. Hoffenberg went to prison for 18 years. But Epstein, he walked away. Not only was he never charged, but he left with millions of dollars in consulting fees. Epstein bought his first plane. He learned the most dangerous lesson of all. If you help the powerful steal, the law doesn't apply to you. But he needed a new host. He needed someone richer than Hoffenberg. Enter Les Wexner, the billionaire founder of the Limited and Victoria's Secret, the richest man in Ohio, a man with a reputation for being brilliant, careful, and private. In 1991, Wexner did something that financial experts still cannot explain. He gave Jeffrey Epstein, a man with a criminal past and no degree, full power of attorney. Do you know what that means? It means Epstein could sign Wexner's checks. He could buy property in Wexner's name. He could hire people, fire people, and move millions of dollars without asking permission. He had the keys to the kingdom, that $77 million mansion in New York. Wexner bought it. Then he transferred it to Epstein for $0. The private jets, they were Wexner. The seed money for Epstein's fund, it was Wexner's. Epstein wasn't an investor. He was a parasite. He attached himself to a host and drained the blood. But why? Why would a billionaire hand over his life to a conman? There is a theory in intelligence circles. You don't give a man power of attorney because you trust him. You give it to him because he has something on you. Was Epstein managing Wexner's money, or was he managing Wexner's secrets? I want to ask you a question. If someone had complete control over your bank account and your reputation, what would you let them get away with? Let me know in the comments, because what happens next is even darker. Now the web expands. It wasn't just retail billionaires. It was real estate, and it was the future president of the United States. In the early 2000s, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were close. They partied at Mar-a-Lago. Trump was quoted saying Epstein was a terrific guy who likes beautiful women as much as I do. But look at the money. In 2004, Trump bought a mansion in Palm Beach called Maison de Amity for $41 million. 4 years later, the housing market crashed. It was the Great Recession. Real estate was dead. Yet in 2008, Trump sold that same house. He didn't sell it to an American. He sold it to a Russian oligarch named Dmitry Rybolovlev. The price, $95 million. He more than doubled his money during the worst economic crisis in history. Why would a Russian oligarch pay double the value for a house he never planned to live in? Why did the money move so strangely through Palm Beach accounts linked to Epstein's circle? We aren't saying it was a crime, but in the world of money laundering, you don't look at the handshake. You look at the overpayment. Epstein was the master of the overpayment, and he was just getting started. If Trump was the real estate connection, Bill Gates was the legitimacy. Years after Epstein was a convicted sex offender, after the world knew what he was, Bill Gates met with him multiple times at his townhouse on his jet. Gates claims it was for philanthropy, but recently, the Wall Street Journal uncovered the truth, and it involves a Russian bridge player named Mila Antonova. She was young, she was brilliant, and she had a brief affair with Bill Gates. Epstein found out, and then he did something calculating. He paid for her coding school tuition. It seemed like a nice gesture, a scholarship from a billionaire, but it wasn't charity, it was a receipt. Years later, Epstein sent an email to Bill Gates. He asked to be reimbursed for that tuition cost. Think about the psychology of that email. Epstein was worth hundreds of millions. He didn't need a few $1,000s. The email wasn't a request for money. It was a threat. It was Epstein saying, "I know I paid for it, and I can tell the world." This was the Epstein business model. He didn't want friends. He wanted insurance policies. He collected secrets on the most powerful men in the world, from Microsoft to the White House, so that no one could ever say no to him. But the darkest payment, the one that keeps investigators up at night, came from Leon Black, the founder of Apollo Global Management, one of the most powerful men on Wall Street. Between 2012 and 2017, Leon Black paid Jeffrey Epstein $158 million. Let me repeat that. $158 million. The official explanation, tax advice. Who pays $158 million for tax advice? You could hire the entire accounting department of the IRS for that. In the finance world, you pay fees for performance. But in the underworld, you pay fees for silence. Was it tax advice? Or was it rent? Was it the cost of keeping the vault door closed? And the banks knew. JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, we have the emails now. Executives joking about Epstein's girls. Compliance officers flagging suspicious cash withdrawals of $80,000 a month. Cash that was used to pay victims. They saw the red flags. They saw the human trafficking alerts. And they ignored them. One executive wrote, "I think this is a relationship we should keep." Why? Because Epstein was bringing in other billionaires. Compliance wasn't a law to them. It was just a cost of doing business. August 10th, 2019. The cameras fail, the guards sleep. Jeffrey Epstein is found dead in his cell. The world argued about suicide versus murder. Conspiracy theories exploded. But while everyone was looking at the body, they should have been looking at the bank account. 2 days before he died, Epstein signed a new will. He moved $577 million into a private trust based in the Virgin Islands. He called it the 1953 Trust. Why is that important? Because unlike a will, a trust is private. It makes it almost impossible for victims to see where the cash is going or who is getting paid. The man is dead, but the money is still moving. The $158 million from Leon Black, the millions from Wexner, the fees from the banks. It didn't disappear, it just changed hands. So I have to ask you, do you believe a man who blackmailed the world's elite would die without a dead man's switch? Or is there a file somewhere in a vault that is still keeping the money flowing today? We call this a failure of the system. But when the banks make fees, the billionaires get tax breaks and the blackmailer gets paid. Maybe the system didn't fail. Maybe it worked exactly as it was designed. The news tells you what happened. We tell you who paid for it. This is Capital Noir. If you want to follow the money where others are afraid to go, subscribe and turn on notifications because the list is longer than you think.